Hey everyone, this is Rajin Ramdeholl, Senior Vice President with Fluent Mortgage, and we are here down in the Space Coast today for a very special session. I have with me Miss Renata Anderson from Coastal Life Properties, and let me just get this right, Anderson. Is that Brazilian?
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm just asking, wondering.
What do you think? I am Brazilian, but no, it's marriage, yes. My husband's Swedish American. That's
I was wondering,
Anderson,
Brazilian, but now it makes sense.
Yeah, no, marriage. Okay, by marriage, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we got to feature you on this show. And I want everyone to get to know you, because I think you're just so special in the sense of you're warm, you're bubbly, you're absolutely, amazing at what you do in helping your clients. And tell us a little bit about who you are, what got you into real estate, and, let's get to know a little bit about you. So what made you get into real estate?
Okay, so I am Renata Anderson, Brazilian. The reason why I got into real estate, I am married to a civil builder. My husband builds bridges, and we moved around for quite a bit. So I fully understand packing, moving in, out, selling. So I decided to help people navigate through the challenges of real estate. That's what got me into real estate.
You are here on the Space Coast, right? So
Space Coast, yeah.
Specifically, let's say, why the Space Coast? Like, is there anywhere else in Florida that you preferred? But why here out of maybe, let's say, South Florida or Central Florida in terms of, like Orlando? Like, why the Space Coast?
South Florida is great, but it's overbuilt. You just feel cramped up there. I'm still 786 area code, by the way. Not 321.
That's an inside joke that myself as a New Yorker probably did not get there.
So, but not to be confused, that this area is better than South Florida, in my opinion, for several reasons. We have a big space industry. We bring a lot of high-paying jobs to the area. We are central. We are very close to Orlando Airport, only 45 minutes, depending where you're situated on the Space Coast. We have the launches. We have the beaches, a lot of waterways, perfect for fishing, boating, going to the beach, of course. A lot of parks. So it's very preserved as well, which we love. For
surfing.
For surfing,
which I just learned, right?
Yes. So Kelly Slater is from Cocoa Beach, #1 surfer in the world. So
very
something
nice.
to be said about Cocoa Beach, yeah, for sure. And we have Port Canaveral, so we have the cruise ships.
All the cruise ships, yeah.
Yes. So we have so much to offer and so much more coming to the area.
And I think that's really important to know, because the thing is, most people are relocating from all different areas of the United States. I mean, there is a tremendous amount of movement from the Northeast, but also from the Midwest. And as you just mentioned, with so much that the Space Coast has to offer, I think there was still, and I wanted you to kind of touch on this a little bit about the job side of it, because there's still this thought that Florida is more of a theme park, retirement, when I'm all done and finished working and the kids are out of the house, that's when I'll go to Florida. How has that changed and that dynamic changed over the recent years?
Oh, it changed a bunch. Like you said, Florida was known for a retirement place. People come retired, after putting lots of years of work. Now you move with work and you play where people come and take vacations.
I love that. Yes. And it definitely feels like that, because you're getting the best of both worlds. Again, just coming from New York, yes, we enjoy working, but our type of play is eating out, hanging out at a bar or restaurant, those type of things. But then when you come down here, you get the beautiful weather, you're outdoors, you get to do all of the activities that you talked about. And we're now seeing that influx of that business side of things coming into here. If someone is thinking about Florida, what is one of the things that you say, being down here, seeing how much it's changed, why do you need to get down here?
Why wouldn't you get down here? That's my question. The growth is here. The affordability is here as well. So you can do more with your money, in other words. So it's perfect. There's still a lot of places that can still be built, and there's room for growth. So why not Central Florida? It's centrally located. So if you have to go from East Coast to West Coast or South Florida, North Florida, so that is another big reason why you should be doing the Space Coast.
Affordability, you had mentioned as well,
Yes.
right? Compared to many other areas of Florida.
Absolutely.
It's still affordable to buy a house here. It's still affordable to raise a family, right?
Yes.
And so...
Great schools too.
Okay, which is another main thing that families are looking at.
Right.
Again, there's this thought that the education is not on par with maybe some of the other states outside of Florida. And we're starting to really see all that change, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been changing a lot in the past years. Yeah.
So in terms of now, are you seeing, and let's talk about a little bit about the clientele that you work with. Are you seeing a lot of international buyers, local buyers, out of town buyers? Like, who are you really specializing in working with, and what are you seeing?
Getting a lot of investors, getting a lot of people actually moving to the area with families. And I do help a lot of Northerners actually, and very successfully as well, virtually. So we do showings virtually. We are able to connect through technology. So those video tours, I do videos of the areas, trying to sell the area the best way I can. And I do cover the Space Coast. I do also cover South Volusia County and Indian River County.
Very nice. So let's kind of get a little bit more in depth with you, right? I want you to think about one of your maybe best experiences working with a client, most fulfilling experiences. What would you share as in terms of one of the best experiences that you would remember working with a client?
So many.
Oh, that's a good thing. Sometimes you see people thinking about it because they can't remember a good experience, but I'm glad to hear that. So
many. Well, just last year, just talk about like the two most recent ones that, were very meaningful. So just last year, I had some people that were looking in Volusia County. They were looking to buy in Daytona. So they were trying to relocate from Virginia, Richmond area to Florida, and they were not successful there. They were not successful because they did not come across the right realtor that was helping, did not fully understand their needs, which I tried to really listen carefully and pay attention to what is it that my clients want to do and what they want to accomplish. And just the first time that I met those people, I was actually hosting an open house, and I understood. So 5 minutes of conversation. They wanted to be on the water. Central hospitals were important. Schools not so much. They have grown children. So we were able to nail it. Like 2 houses. The third one, we put an offer. So we strategized to where the offer got accepted. Still very challenging market. Still running this market here in South Florida. Central Florida.
Yes.
Got carried away with South Florida. Crazy, even more down there for sure. But in Central Florida, so able to strategize the right offer and get my clients what they want. That was one of like those amazing deals that happened, and we're very, very happy. Still happy to this day, boating a lot.
Oh, nice.
So the lifestyle is the pool, go boating, and come back to the house. Open floor concept, not too big of a house, just nice and easy to flow around. Then I had one other couple coming from North Carolina.
Okay.
Where school was important, and they prefer beachside, but the inventory was really low last year. They came around holiday season. There was not much to choose from. And I told them to rent short term, and that when spring approached, then we would be able to see possibly a little better inventory, and we're going to target the beach.
Yeah.
And so we did. So when the short-term lease was up, we were actually able to see over the weekend 3 houses, and the fourth one was the one.
Wow.
And the offer got accepted. And they were super excited to be moved back to the beach. They're originally from Florida, but they were away for quite a bit. So
they were in
really
Florida,
nice.
moved to North Carolina, and then moved back, huh? Yeah. I kind of tend to find that happening a lot.
Yes.
I've heard stories, and everyone's like, oh, I lived in Florida, moved somewhere, moved back, and they're like, I can't, just Florida is the place for me. And do you see a lot of that? Like, is the experience?
Well, yes. Well, summertime, we have sun until 9 o'clock at night. I mean, you can still come back from work. You can still go to the beach.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right. Let me ask you this. What do you think of the market right now? Because there's just a lot of people still concerned. And, you know, depending on the location, there's still a lot of different types of information. Some people say the market's still very, very hot. Some people are saying that it's starting to cool down a little bit. What is your take in terms of the Space Coast, what's happening now, and where do you think it's going? I
do think that the market is probably going to react differently. We see prices being adjusted, and that is just due to the fact that a lot of those sellers, they're still stuck in, you know, the hype about a year and a half, 2 years ago, how it used to be. And you'd sell for, you know, really whatever price you wanted because interest rates were really low. So you see some properties adjusting because they're not priced right. But if it's priced right, it's going pretty fast. And we still have the bidding wars happening.
Now, I'm gonna ask something that's gonna get a lot of eyes on you, but do you think it's the agent's fault or the homeowner's fault? When you say in terms of the pricing in, you know, let's say the selling prices of things,
it's
right?
It's the sellers.
It's the sellers. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, because, I mean, I think there's also maybe some agents that think that they could kind of push the market and see, and maybe that's also causing some of that kind of pullback when it's not selling.
No, usually it's not. Usually is really the sellers. They're trying to see what happens, and they do not price right.
So when you deal with your sellers, you basically inform them of that, you know, and you educate them on that, right? You show them that if you're going to list at this price, which is what you want, this is what my feeling is, that the property might not, you know, sell. You might have to lower the price. It might sit there. Those are things that you do in terms of educating them.
Yes. So if you think about it, when it hits the MLS, so the new properties on the market, so what the people are first attracted to is a price, right? So if it's not priced right, and buyers, trust me, they're very, very educated nowadays because they've been pushed aside for so long, you know, trying to get into properties here. And in some other states as well, but I can only speak for Florida and Central Florida, Space Coast in particular. So they are very educated. So they've been following a line, so they know exactly the value of a property because they've been looking for a while. There's a lot of people trying to transition from the renter's market into owning something, ownership. Yeah. So you do see that. So those people are sitting on the sidelines, you know, trying to enter the market. So for that reason, and they do know. So if the sellers price the property too high, it's going to sit on the market, so it's not going to benefit them. So typically they'll be chasing down that market. And ultimately they're going to get a lower offer. So if you price it right, so the marketing will be that number that is put out there, and people are going to be seeing the first thing, which is the price. And then they're going to look, oh, this property looks good. So you're going to get people to the door to see their property. And that's the whole intent. So if you price it strategically, so then you're going to get those buyers. It's like fresh bait, right? So you're going to get those buyers in, and you're going to generate that interest. So actually you're going to generate most likely a bidding war because people are going to try to get that property. Yeah. So if it's priced right, or even sometimes a little lower, the market value, you're going to generate more that kind of activity. Yeah, for sure.
It's good to know. So let me ask you this. What do you think separates you from all the other agents that are out there? So someone that's looking at this, that is thinking about maybe relocating, that does need a real estate agent, sell me. What is it that you think separates you from all the other agents out there, and why they should work with you if they're seeking an agent to help them in this process?
I'll say 3 things. Transparency is one of them. open book. Communication skills, pretty good at staying in touch. I don't go to the next sale, so stay on it. And emotional intelligence. And of course, the fact that I moved around so much prior to entering real estate, I know what it takes. I know how emotional a deal can get. And our ultimate goal is smooth closing.
And that's a great answer. I'll be honest with you, that's not one that I hear very often in terms of the emotional side of it. Because I think so too often we look at it transactional, right? It's, oh, someone wants to buy a house, let me show them a house, blah, blah, blah. But we don't take the time to see the emotional side of it. What are they going through? If they're moving with their kids, and I experienced this because my brother actually just purchased something here and he's going to be moving his family from New York. And I've really gotten a chance to see the emotional side of it, what's going to happen with his kids and even himself and his spouse. People don't really look at that. And I'm actually really happy to hear that because I think that's really important as an agent to understand, especially with the type of buyers that predominantly right now are buying is out of town buyers. It's a tough and emotional situation for everyone to then relocate.
100%. It's a lot of the times. It's like the hardest part really is what people are going through. And it is very, very emotional. Most of those people are selling their houses and they're relocating, they're packing, they're moving from miles and miles and miles away. And with little ones, sometimes it's a lot. New schools, old schools, goodbye to their friends, family members. It's a lot to consider. And being Brazilian also, so I know what having family far away is like, what is like to move from one country to another country.
Yeah.
So I do understand, and I try to be very careful with people's emotions and try to really understand mainly what they're going through, and we try to address those things and not let those emotions interfere the process.
Okay, that's awesome. I think that is really amazing that you look at that and the insight. Is there anything else you just want anyone else to know as we wrap this up, just about you, about the Space Coast, about the industry, anything that you just want to share, your final thoughts that you think is important for people to know? I
love to boat. I love the beach. I love outdoors. So if you're looking to come to the Space Coast, we have all of that to offer. And I'd love to talk to you more about the Space Coast and why you should move here.
Why you should move here. Yeah. Well, Renata, thank you so much again. I think this was fun. I got to learn a lot, again, just about, Cocoa Beach and just the Space Coast. Kelly Slater. And that's what I was saying. I didn't even know about that. But I think that's what people are looking for, is the lifestyle. And you said it so well. People want a balanced life, not just for themselves, but for their kids. And that's where, from affordability to jobs to fun to, activities, just so much is offered here in the Space Coast. And I'm glad that you're here to help those clients that are looking to purchase.
Yeah, you don't have to retire to come to Florida. Just come on by.
I love that. You don't have to retire to come to Florida.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you. And this was another great segment.
Thank you.